microphone. Yeah, I'm gonna just grab and eat. So good morning, guys. Jarrod,
Good morning, folks. Lyndon Bradford.
Sales is a profession. What are we talking about this week? Because we had a back and forth on it last week.
We're talking about
last night.
Yeah, we're talking about putting all your eggs in one basket as to how it's titled, and I'll give you a little bit of the context as to how it came about. I was sharing with Jarrod that there was an opportunity. There are a couple of opportunities that I had in my pipeline to close for the month of January, and it just so happened, due to unforeseen circumstances, one of those opportunities fell out. It wasn't because of the fact that let's say I lost it because I did something wrong. It's just because there was something that actually came up in the customer's account that they couldn't proceed further, at least at the expected time. So what it did, and that happened. So you have no control over that, right?
Yep.
So what I was mentioning to Jarrod is that something that I had forecasted to hit, which brought me to 82% of my target, moved me down. With that coming out, it brought me down to 57% of my target, right? So instead of just having to make 15% difference, right, to hit 100%, you are looking at now doing 43% again. So it's a little bit more work. So what we were looking at is, Jarrod and I were discussing last night as to whether it was just a matter of the prospecting activity, right? Whether the prospecting was good,
right?
Yeah, whether the prospecting was good, and also how do you go about mitigating against that? So here's the thing. For me, I would normally say that I didn't put all my eggs in one basket, but yes, I was also reliant on that to close the way it was supposed to close.
That was my argument, because
Correct.
What I'm saying is that in sales we get excited because I remember there'll be times where, let's just say you have business that comes in, and you know what your target is. So in order for me to be profitable, in order for me to make my expenses on my personal side as an entrepreneur, whether I have a business or whether I work for a company, for example, I have to hit 10 sales. But suppose there's a company or something that happens that, or two companies that are there that allow you to say, you know what, you could actually hit 120%. So you get hype. So you now put all your focus only in those two things.
That's correct.
So what you don't do now is that you don't go after your bread and butter, because the larger ones take up your whole space and how you operate.
Correct.
So now where you used to get like easy little sales. So like remember in Digicel, your closer account for a 5 or 10, but because they see one for 100,
you're shooting behind.
You just only focus on the big ones, and now your little ones, which used to take you 2 days to close, you completely forget about it, because you're saying, if I get this big one that I put all my time in, that's the proper direction that I need to go in, and therefore the small ones get neglected, and then eventually you can't get them because you're only focusing on the big ones. That was my view.
And exactly what Jarrod is saying is correct,
yes.
Right? Now, I don't always like to use the term putting all the eggs in one basket, because it can seem to be a broad brush. Maybe it seems as though the person didn't do maybe their best within the months from before. And those are things that I've seen as a sales rep and a sales manager, right? So if it is I had to look back at the prospecting activity from before, like the other opportunities I have in January, I'm also now seeing that whatever was forecasted to close in January, those small ones that have the mix, I know that now after speaking with the customers, they're not ready for January. Yeah. So yes, you're always going to have a period where you are definitely going to be reliant. And we're talking about, this is not something where this was closed since in December and November.
Right.
So whatever it is that you needed to do in terms of making up that number there, for me, the other ones to make up the mix, I'm realizing now that mix, they're not going to close until February, March, based upon the communication and having the discussion with them.
Correct.
Right? So what do you do in an instance like that? Well, what is that you have to do is now look back at all of those particular things that you have there within your within your pipeline.
Because remember we said it last week, you're 30, you're 60, and you're 90. You need to look and see what's going on. Hey, Jamie, good morning.
Now here's the thing with that too, right? This is also alive, because I think I also mentioned to you that there was also another instance where there was a larger opportunity,
right,
that actually didn't close because of the fact that there was a relationship within that account.
Correct.
That of course I was only able to identify when the client said we decided to go in this particular direction and why. Right? So the thing is this: when it is that you're looking at making up your numbers, right? There are going to be instances within your month where you're not going to have full control. And Jarrod is correct in terms of having the mix, but sometimes it's not always, and it's kind of based upon what you're selling to sometimes. If you're selling stuff that is sort of high-end, you may not always have a mix that's going to be able to give you, let's say for instance, you're doing certain things along the lines of equipment rental sales, you're doing
It could be software and stuff,
it could be
things that take
software,
a longer sales cycle.
sales cycle.
But to me, you're still supposed to have a pipeline. Because,
Correct.
right, so for example,
No, you still have the
in
pipeline.
Microsoft, I remember when I was at Microsoft, some of those transactions, it had a lot of short-term, but it had a lot of long-term transactions,
Correct.
especially if you're dealing like governments and these sort of things and ministries. It takes a longer time with the sales cycle.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you still had a flexibility because you're able to build the pipeline where you had stuff that would have been able to close at any point in time.
Correct.
And again, the commission will always vary because on long cycle products, the commission is usually higher than a short sales cycle.
Yes.
So therefore, even if something doesn't close this month, it closes in 3 months, it makes up for the fact that you closed it. So what I'm just saying is that no matter what industry you're in, it's supposed to have a sufficient equivalent in terms of what you have as your pipeline, so that if anything falls through, there's always something going on. There's always an activity.
Again, it's really based upon the industry. Like for me, alright, so in relation to doing things like sales training, coaching, business development, on average you're looking at approximately, based upon where the customers are, how ready they are, it could be about 3 months in terms of your sales cycle.
Right.
So in terms of identifying the opportunities and getting it to close, of course, if it is away in January, when should I have started, guys? Right? I should have started all the way back in October, November, or even September.
Look at that timeline.
Right? So, and the thing is that there are opportunities in there in relation to the prospecting activity, but of course, it's where those things are closing. So even though you started prospecting in September and October, it's where those opportunities are towards closing, because you're not always going to find a deal to close in the respective month.
Correct.
Yeah? Or
Correct.
so let's say for instance you may find an opportunity, but let's say you find an opportunity in September, you have a 3-month sales cycle, but it's not really an opportunity that's going to close in January because of the fact the customer's not ready to do it in January. You follow me?
Yeah.
Right? So which means that it was whenever the customer is ready to have that opportunity closed is when is it that you would now be properly forecasting it.
But my thing in sales, why it is no matter what industry, like in your example, yes, there's the customer ready to close or whatever their cycle is, but shouldn't I have more than one customer like that? Why in sales?
Oh yeah.
But so why in sales we don't do that? So that's why it goes back to me of you putting all your eggs in one basket, because that's the nature of the industry.
Well, the thing is this, so you have salespeople or you have sales professionals who would be self-reliant on 1 or 2 opportunities to close, right? One of the things that I like to teach is something called depth and breadth of your pipeline, right?
Yes.
So your
Explain
depth of
that.
your
I love
pipeline,
that.
your depth and breadth of your pipeline means that if you're in the month of January, the same thing that we're talking about now, right? Your prospecting from the months before should give you, let's say, at least 20 or 30 deep in relation to prospective opportunities, or enough to give you sales activity.
Right.
Right? Your breadth of it goes from January all the way down to half year, meaning that you have opportunities that are forecasting to close at that particular period. They may not be closed, but you are forecasting them based upon the work that you've done with the account to date.
Right.
Follow me?
Yes.
So one of the things is that you need to make sure that your prospecting activity is always active in terms of your prospecting, and that goes in all of the different stages of your sales activity, meaning that you're going from lead to sales approach to delivering this to doing the solution to when it is that you're all the way down to when it is that you're forecasting for it to close.
Hey, morning Brittany, Miss Floats. So let's give everybody a breakdown of that, because I think a lot of persons don't realize that as a sales professional, how much time do I need to dedicate to prospecting?
I would say.
And do I do it every day, or do I do it only at certain periods? How does prospecting work?
For me, prospecting is a daily thing. Yeah?
I agree.
For me, prospecting is a daily thing. As a matter of fact, even if I am driving on a Saturday, my eyes are always open, whether it's in the papers, on the internet, passing around here. If I see a particular vehicle with something and I say, I wonder what kind of business that is, and if they would need my services. So prospecting is a daily thing, and during your week you should be able to block your time off. Now you would have different sales experts that will say you should block off for 2 hours. Some people say a whole day. I don't recommend a whole day. Nobody's
you can't
that
dedicate
productive
a whole day to one activity. I don't think that would make sense. But I think at least 2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours, and again, because I know that some people's attention span and tasks are short,
Yeah, boy.
I tell them break it up. Do 1 hour, do an hour, and do an hour.
Right.
Right?
Because some customers just in general are available at different times,
at
and it
different
depends on the
times.
day.
And then based upon what's happening within your office, and also make sure you find a quiet space. Based upon what's happening in your office, you may get a phone call that may actually interrupt you. You need to make sure that you have that dedicated time away from everything else, so you just focus on that.
You get that, right, guys?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of us here, because I know we have entrepreneurs, we know we have people with their own businesses, we know we have people who work for companies that pay attention to this. So the thing I want to emphasize to you all is that no matter what industry you're in, long or short cycle, a certain point of your day is dedicated to prospecting,
lead generation,
and following up on your pipeline and making sure that people who you have in the pipeline are moving along, that you don't have it stagnant, and that you're bringing new stuff into the pipeline. And that is really, really key. So I think what happens to in sales is that a lot of persons overthink it. You don't think so?
Yeah. When you say overthink, which part of it do you
I think when we talk about pipeline and when you have to actively prospect, I think persons misunderstood where you have to do like new meetings with new customers every day. And you don't necessarily mean that. Like I take prospecting as something as simple as this. I find a company or I research a particular industry to find 2 customers and learn more about them to set up myself for the call.
That's correct.
And to me, that's prospecting.
That's your prospecting.
Because that allows you to know, okay, I put them in my pipeline, I set up the information I know about them, and then I set myself up to do the call, which will probably be either later in that day or the next day.
That's correct. I'll give you an idea as to how I do it. I try to identify 3 to 4 new ones.
Right.
I may not call them immediately. I'm using the time to research.
Exactly.
Excuse me. Those that I've been able to research faster, I set it up in such a way where I would do an email first, or I make the phone call first.
Yep.
And then within there, I have triggers within my emails to tell me, okay, call this person back tomorrow after you send the email.
Yep.
Right? So your prospecting is not just a matter of just finding you. Your prospect, it's a whole process in terms of how you're doing your follow-up and everything else. Right? Because you're going from lead to prospect, then to potential customer. But of course, within there, you have to do certain things along the lines of your follow-up. You have to actually have the discussion with them. So it's a full process that makes up your prospecting activity towards the close.
Correct.
Right?
So understand that,
so
guys.
You have to block the time off for that.
So and the reason why we say this is that there have been many times in the past, I remember lots of days with Digicel where you didn't hit your target because you got focused on one main thing.
That's correct, yeah.
I remember I losed out on hitting a quarterly target to get my quarterly bonus, because I had a counter close. It wasn't big, but it was enough to tip you over to get the bonus.
Right.
And the simple thing I did not do was the decision maker went on vacation.
To identify.
And I was like, he's like, no, Jarrod, you signing off? No, he's like, yeah. He's like, but I'm on vacation right now. So as I come, and he did, as he came back, it was the first thing done. But at the same time, you're like, yeah. And that was $9,000 missed out on. Because I didn't hit quarterly.
Yeah.
So it's so important to have a continuous pipeline. So to me, no matter what industry and no matter what you do, you have to consistently prospect to get customers onto your base. And prospecting works a couple of different ways. So you realize we're touching on, so even though we say don't put your eggs in one basket, we're talking about how to avoid doing that in essence, guys. So to me, a lot of different things you could do. So yes, you could do your calls, you could do your research, you could use your social media and your social selling tools. But to me, you must create a consistent activity.
Yeah.
And that is the important word, and a consistent activity in order to generate that you have existing customers so you could call on and actually get potential business from.
Now, I'll tell you this, right, at the same time too. So when that happened, I wasn't so much so put off because I knew exactly as to what I needed to do next. Right? And that's just from my experience. I also knew, of course, by the fact that I haven't lost the opportunity altogether. It's just going to come in at a different time within the month.
Correct.
So what do you do in an instance like that? Well, yes or no, let me come in February or March, because that's from the conversation with the customer, right? But it doesn't mean that's the most important part of it, because I've seen this over and over again. And I've also made the mistake. So okay, so let's say you lose out by 15% or was it 43% of your target, right? And you just leave that there for January. And then you start February thinking, well, all you need to do is 100%.
No, it's 142%.
You need to do 142%.
You have to make up what you lost. I think that's something.
And that's the most important thing. As I say, I learned that the hard way while working with a really, really tough sales manager, and I actually commend them for that, because you always used to make sure and say, hey, no, you need to do. You need to
have to make up for the slack,
and you need to make up for the slack.
Yeah, you must have. If you do the target, there's a rollover.
Because remember, once you are short by 43%, you're going to be short for your entire year by 43%. You're starting off with a loss. Yeah. So that's something that I even for the entrepreneurs, I'm not sure how many entrepreneurs really look at it like that from a
I think
standpoint of
entrepreneurs see it more in that standpoint than a person who's working for a company. Because
Than a
remember, as an
salesperson.
entrepreneur, remember if you short, and if that's your core business, remember you don't have money as a sales professional.
Correct.
At most, if you do hit target, they just let you go on to the next one
And
brand
it
new.
would be interesting. It would be interesting to know if any entrepreneurs. Do you guys work with a budget for you, like every month?
Yes.
Do you guys have a
So
target?
Red Bushin, Rashida, you guys tell me, Lexi, I'm not too sure, and Brittany, if you guys are an entrepreneur, you have your own business, but please let us know.
Do you have a target that you're working with? And
Yeah.
how do you all work towards, okay, let's say for instance your sales don't go well for that particular month. What
How
do
you
you
react
do?
for the next
Especially
month?
because some of you all are retail,
Yes?
right? And some of you all are B2B.
Yeah, business to
Right?
business.
So
So yes.
it'd be really interesting. But so I'm saying from on my end, from a B2B end, it's really important, and I'm now saying, okay, well, this is going to move to here, right? But I'm also now focusing on what is it I need to do. And here's another very important thing. If it is the deal hasn't been the first, let's say the deal is lost altogether,
Right.
right? It's sometimes, if it's already difficult to do, or it requires a lot of work to hit 100%, do not overburden yourself by trying to do the whole 143% in the next month. You understand? Try breaking that 43% up in the next couple of months. At least try
Right.
to do it within your Q1, because
Correct.
your Q1 is going to make a hit target,
And that's
you
what-
get your
that's what
quarterly
you need to
bonuses,
focus on.
right? So whatever shortfall that you have, start breaking up your shortfall. Now, if you know that you can hit it, if you have a strategy to to build back on your shortfall within the next month, that is great. But if you don't, strategize to say, okay, how can I break up this 43%, whatever dollar value that is, into the next couple of months? So at least you know you're closing Q1 where you're supposed to close Q1.
Correct. So Rashida, if you can,
Anybody said
Rashida's saying
yes.
she has a target. So if you can, Rashida, please share with us in terms of your mindset. Like for example, if you don't hit your target, how does it affect what you do for the following month in terms of your activities
And
as
what's your
well?
mitigation strategy?
Yeah, correct. Because I know
Right.
that'll be great. Because for me, like how I look at targets when I'm at Samsung is, again, you always look at month. Like we break it down granular. For me, I look at week versus week for at least 2 years back. Month versus month, year versus year,
Yeah.
quarter versus quarter as well. So you're actually seeing and then you're paying attention to different activities, because something is so weird to take a notice of is that 2016 our numbers were different to 2017 and 2018 just because Christmas fell on a weekend instead of a weekday compared to 2017 and 2018. So
Right.
all those things play a factor in terms of how customers shop, what they buy, what you see in the results. So for me, that's how I actually look at things, and that's a huge aspect in terms of when you're actually doing your sales.
And that's also very important too, because I think one of the shortcomings I've seen with sales professionals is that they really don't pay attention to the numbers. They don't study the pipeline. They don't even study the Excel reports to say, okay,
Yeah, boy.
this is my year, this is my target, and this is where I'm going in relation to tracking my performance against my target. You don't always have to wait for your manager to do that for you.
So,
You understand?
so can we say simply, as we kind of drill on the point here for these guys, is that if I'm a sales professional, right? Ooh, I have it in front of the arm thing. If I'm a sales professional, I need to have at least one new customer a day.
Yeah.
On
And-
average.
and that's a simple and good
Easy activity.
minimum targeting benchmark you can set for yourself.
Think
At least
how
one.
easy that is, guys. And the thing is that if you look at it, right, if you have one new interaction with a customer a day, that's 356 in
No, yeah,
360.
weekends.
360. Why we?
Or you
Why?
factor in your weekends as
I
well.
factor in weekends.
Right, well, so then that means you have 365 customers that you can find.
Jamie, you stop selling on a weekend? Rashida, you stop selling on a weekend?
You don't.
I don't. Look how much people be messaging me on a weekend.
You know what's interesting with that too? The client that I'm working with right now, right? When I started to break down, this is also important when you're talking about your mix, right? Jarrod would have mentioned it earlier. For me, I've broken down large, medium, and small categories of my services, right, that I could offer to customers. With the client that I'm working with the sales reps, I've helped them break down large, medium, and small opportunities
Right.
that they can actually now work with. So when we broke down in terms of the activities, I'm saying, listen, if you do a minimum of, because we have an idea as to what the price points are, right?
Correct.
So I'm saying if you do a minimum of just 6 in relation to, and you're mixing up your 6, let's say you want to do 4 new and 2 existing customers, right? Because of course you want to grow your business in the existing accounts and you want to find 4 new opportunities, right? Or again, you can do it 3x3, 50-50. Anyhow you're doing it is activity.
Yes.
Right? Because it is all towards hitting your targets. Right? The good thing is that now I actually have them coming back, because you see the culture there was very, very archaic from before. Now I have them coming back even within this month and saying, hey, I realize I'm doing more than that. Because as Jarrod is saying, if you're doing one, you're going to realize that it's become contagious. What you've done, you've developed a habit. So me just asking them to do 6, and some of them are actually saying, no, I did that 6 Lyndon, 6 too little now.
Yeah.
So they're now doing 10. And that's exactly what you want. You want to start now growing that activity so it becomes part of your culture.
Shout out to Jamie and Rashida, who says, nope, always selling. Jamie says selling is 24/7.
24/7.
Agreed. Good. Jamie also said she has a spreadsheet of current sales and everything she's working on,
right,
which is reviewed, so you know you always have to consistently add to that. And then Rashida is also saying, when I don't meet the target, I usually increase new lead prospecting, and I also revisit our regulars.
That's good. Yeah.
That's what you have to do.
And Jamie, just to ask you another question here, is it that did you take that initiative to have that spreadsheet together for yourself, or was it something that was applied within the organization? Even if it was submitted to you in the organization, how do you now incorporate that as your own personal thing that you study it to? Because again, I've found that the people who study their targets and their pipelines, their focus is different in relation to others who are just kind of just, yeah, well, I have a target, I have a pipeline, I'll agree to for sales meeting. You understand? You would always see that if somebody's looking at what their numbers are and say, okay, what I need to do to hit these particular numbers, you always find them busy.
Yeah.
Yeah? Mentally busy. So that's how you mitigate against when you have unexpected shortcomings within your sales pipeline.
Correct.
You understand? So there are things that you would never... Things can just hit you from the side. It's where a customer may be willing to close, and the day that they're going to close the contract, again, I've seen it happen in Massey, something happens.
Something happens.
You understand? So what is it that you do, and what is the activity like in relation to making it up? But did Jamie give her?
Yeah, she bought it from another company, and she tweaked it for her results.
So that's her taking her ownership, because this tool works for me.
Yeah.
You understand? And with that working for her, she's been able to grow and develop and track your numbers. It's really, really important, because those things help you balance out your sales activity.
Correct. So as we kind of wrap it up for this Sunday, guys, as we want to tell you all, as the topic says, the reason why we say don't put your eggs in one basket, because it literally relates to not getting overhyped and just closing a few accounts, but always consistently having stuff, so that if one thing falls off, it never stops you from hitting over 100% of your target. Which means that every day you need to do some sort of activity with regard to prospecting. And one of the things which I said is that you need to pay attention to the fact that you're consistently being active in terms of with regard to your pipeline. And if you're not doing that, if you're not doing it on a daily basis, you will find yourself running into problems where you're not having enough in your pipeline to actually build and actually grow your business.
Prospecting is an everyday occurrence that helps mitigate against these things. So you may have a low month. I'm sure Jamie would have had low months. I'm sure Rashida would have had low months. But if you do the right prospecting activities, it's going to make up for itself.
Yep.
In the months to come.
Yeah. So as we wrap up, because I know if you guys have any questions specific to like probably what some of the best ways to prospect in the industry, just let us know. But as Lyndon and I want to tell you, thanks so much for joining us on the Sales Profession page. Don't forget, January 31st is our first mixer for the year. We have a special guest, Leon Bernard. He is the owner of Twisted Imaginations. It's a trade marketing company, and I've known him for years. He's built his business from scratch. He's been doing it for over 10 years. And he wouldn't know, mind tell you, he's now seeing success. Right? So he's now been able to enjoy where I could actually go to Barbados and look for opportunities there and look for avenues there. So trust me, you're not going to want to miss this one. And the reason why we're doing it is because, one, a lot of you guys who follow us are entrepreneurs, and then two, you need to sell. If you have a business, you need to sell. So you need to understand and hear his stories about how he was able to sell his business to the big companies that he actually works with. Alright? Cool. Any questions, guys? I'm seeing here. So just want to say thank you again to, of course, Jamie, who always tunes in. Who else tuned in? Brittany, Lexia, Rashida, Kevin McCarthy. I see also joined in. So thank you so much, guys. And again, if you have any questions, you know, as usual, Lyndon and I are always around. Just send us a message. We love to talk to persons about sales. My price is coffee. What's your price of coffee? Water. Look at that. Water and coffee. Imagine water and coffee. Alright, guys. Jarrod Best Michelle.
Lyndon Bradford.
Have a good day.
Take care, bye, guys.